Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to graph an exponential function using the asymptote and the y-intercept. And we're going to set up a table of values. And we're also going to describe the domain and range of the function. So we are going to use this function, f of x equals 2x plus 2 power, okay? So 2 to the x plus 2 power. I know it's an exponential function because my variable is in the exponent. So the first thing I need to identify is my asymptote, which is going to be my k. And if I did have a k value listed, it would be right here in this spot right here. But it's not. So when you don't see a k listed, you're going to use the value of 0. And you're going to write it as y equals 0. It is a horizontal line that is going to essentially be what the function is trying to reach, but doesn't quite get to. Then we need to know our y-intercept. Now, your y-intercept, you're going to have to solve for it. And what we know about all y-intercepts is that they have 0 for the x. So if x is 0, I can plug in 0 into my function in place of the x and solve for my y value. So essentially, it would be 2 to the second power. And 2 to the second power would be 4. Okay? So with my y-intercept, I'm going to put it right here into the center of my table, which is 0, 4. So above it, I'm going to put my 2 values to the left on the number line, and below it, I'm going to put my 2 values to the right. Now, I'm going to need to solve for 4 more values using my function of 2x plus 2 power. All right, so I've already solved for the 0, so I'm going to replace the 0 with -1. Okay, so when I combine -1 and 2, I get 2 to the first, which is going to give me 2 for my y. Then, instead of the -1, I'm going to plug in the -2, which is going to give me 2 to the 0th power. Any number to the 0th power is 1. All right, so instead of -2, now I'm going to put in 1. And I'm going to have 2. 1 plus 2 is 3, so I'm going to have 2 to the 3rd power, which is going to give me 8, because 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. And lastly, I'm going to put in 2, so I get 2 to the 4th. Okay, which will give me 16. So once I've solved all of my values, it's time to graph it. And that's going to leave me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points that I can graph. But first, I want to start here with my asymptote. And it's going to be a horizontal line in relation to the y-axis because it's y equals. And it's going to go right through where y equals 0, which would be right here on the x-axis. Okay? Now I know my function is going to come very close to this line, but it's never going to cross it. So I'm going to start with my points. So I have -2, 1, should be here. Then I have -1, 2, I have 0, 4, 1, 8, and then I have 2, 16, which I can't graph on this graph because my numbers don't go out that high, but it would be somewhere up here. All right? But I'm going to draw my exponential function, which is a curve, making sure I put arrows at the end. And now we have successfully graphed it. But now I must determine the domain and range. Now, domain and range is going to be the range of my function from left to right in relation to the x-axis. Well, the left, I have a function that's going to go towards the negative forever. And to the right, although it's going up, it's also going to slowly go to the right towards the positive forever. So I'm going to describe my domain as negative infinity to infinity. Now my range is the range of my function from bottom to top in relation to the y-axis. And what I know about this function is it's trying very, very hard on the bottom to reach my asymptote at y equals 0, but it never quite gets there. So I'm going to use parentheses and 0. Now the top of my function is going up in the direction of positive forever. So on this parameter, I'm going to use positive infinity and a parentheses. So we have successfully graphed our exponential function, setting up our table of values, and describing our domain and range.